All right, all right. So we are back from the Belgrade Bitcoin Hub as well, recording from here. Um, and damn, sorry, I had another tab open with the video stream. But yeah, we're back, and it is about halfway through the Nostr hack, not Legends of Lightning, but we do have a couple people joining us today who are from Legends of Lightning. They did participate in that on one of the winning projects as well. That's Rene and Roland. They're from LightSats and also developers of GetAlby. They're on the GetAlby team. And they'll be going into Lightning and basically integrating Lightning with Nostr, which, those two fit in very well together, right? We have this protocol for information, and then we have this protocol for value. And of course, those kind of interactions when you have kind of like a web with value transfer, as we say with Bitcoin, it's something that at least with BOLT.FUN, we consider it to be this kind of, we're trying to pushing it to be the money of the internet, right? And the internet wasn't built with these things initially because Bitcoin wasn't there initially. So what started to happen was we started seeing like some advertising business models and stuff, and the web looks very messy right now. So maybe Nostr fixes this, right? This will be interesting to see. Anyway, let's invite up our guest today. First up, we got Rene. Hey, Rene, and Roland.
Hello. Hey, everyone.
Hey, guys. Hey, guys. Hey, guys. Thanks so much for joining us today. Before we really get into things, I would just, I have a couple of housekeeping stuff to do, if you don't mind. Right? And part of that very much includes you as well, right? Hey, we got the whole Alby team out there, Moritz as well. What's up, Moritz? Some of that housekeeping is going to include you, right? So we're going to be going through some of the projects that are participating in the hackathon so far in Nostr Hack. But before that, a word from our sponsors. I need to get some jingle music or something going on there. All right. So, as you know, the Nostr hack has been going on from March 10th to the 24th. And thankfully, we have a few sponsors that supported us in this setting up this event. First one, of course, Wolf. Wolf is a accelerator based out of New York, and they're helping like early stage founders and startups basically like accelerate their projects into unicornhood. Are you guys aware of Wolf, by the way? Rene, Roland?
Yeah, I think we also played there. Yeah.
Yeah. You see, Wolf is, I think they might be the first accelerator dedicated to just Lightning, well, especially since they have like you have to move to their office in New York, and they have like amazing office. I don't know if you saw that that video that they released. It's like crazy in the middle of Manhattan now. I think Brian, Kelly, Clara. I never say her name correct, but yeah, awesome team back there. Yeah, they're doing amazing work. And yeah, so Wolf basically brings like select startup groups and founders together. They're all focused on Lightning and very bullish on Nostr as well. In New York City, everyone goes there. You bring your whole team there, and you build, iterate, and scale up your project in I think 8 weeks. They cover transportation, lodging, and you can be from anywhere in the world, basically. So I think that's super cool. We're building this global network of payments and now information, and people are doing that from all over the world. So it's nice to see it not just concentrated on like the Silicon Valley, which anyway, I'm not gonna get into that topic, but yeah, if you get included in the Wolf Accelerator, you actually get like, I think seed funding guaranteed as well. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, that is Wolf. Now let's go on to the next one, and you guys should definitely know one of these ones. Well, sorry, I didn't forget. That's the next slide. Sorry, you may not have known Peak Shift, but now you should. So Peak Shift is a venture and design studio. It's the studio that birthed BOLT.FUN, and yeah, we basically help startups, Bitcoin startups, design excellent products. So check us out if you're interested in doing our design sprints, getting that for your company. And it's a workshop that we do to basically help get everyone aligned and also get some prototypes and assumptions that you might have tested. So instead of spending 6 months developing something that someone doesn't want and then finding it out after you have the whole team working on it, I'm pretty sure you guys have experienced that before. You work really hard on something. You think this is the thing that the customer wants or the users want. You release it, and then sometimes it falls flat. Um, we as developers and tech people, we tend to get in our heads a bit more. So sometimes, you just slow down and try to validate some assumptions first and try to validate them cheaply. Design is a great way to do that. This is the slide I was referring to. So one of our sponsors, Spiral, they're trying to make Bitcoin more than an investment. They give grants out to tons of people. They're a really great institution, if you want to call it that, in the space. Giving out grants for several projects and people, including folks in the Bitcoin design community, where I thankfully was able to start working full-time in open source. There's also LDK, Lightning Developer Kit, and BDK, Bitcoin Development Kit. So those are some really great open source projects that are really giving you the components to build Bitcoin applications faster, Bitcoin Lightning applications faster. And of course, this is the one that you guys know, Alby, right?
Yeah.
Rene, maybe you could. I'm going to put you on the spot here. What is Alby?
Yeah, so Ivy is first of all a browser extension that allows you to use Lightning on the web, like on every website. Instead of scanning QR codes, you can interact with the website. You can have like budgets in it, and you can also connect your own node. But also Albi offers like wallet accounts for you that allow you to programmatically interact with those wallets as an app. I think we're going into details about that later. But yeah, that's it. Yeah, we offer all kinds of services for podcasters and also for the web. So cool to be here.
And an important part of this, why is it relevant for this hackathon? It also includes window.nostr, which allows you
Exactly.
to not have
Spoiler
to.
alert.
Yes, spoiler alert. No, it's very important because
Yeah.
we had in one of our previous videos we spoke about Nostr Connect and a way to that you don't have to. Keep inputting private keys on clients. This is bad. This is something that we've been talking about, not giving random websites private keys all the time, and we're doing it quite often, right? Let's use these extensions. Let's use these different ways to interact with these clients, especially since there's a bunch of stuff that we want to try out, right? And we may not know who's behind it, So
Sure. You should
Albi has secure.
happen.
Is it also right to say that these credentials are all stored locally, right?
Yeah, they never leave your computer.
Exactly. Right. So that's another reason to use Albi. Also, want to give a shout out to Brad Mills. Brad Mills is an entrepreneur and a pretty big Bitcoiner, Bitcoin maxi, if you call it that. And he's shown support to us with this hackathon. So really big shout out to him. Check him out at bradmills.ca. And yeah, I think before we kick it off, we have about almost 40 projects now at Nostr Hack, which is it's crazy. I didn't expect that many, to be honest. And I would love to go through some of them with you guys, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure.
Sure. All right, cool. Because part of like being at these hackathons isn't just like building something, showing it off, and then winning the prize. It's the friends you make along the way that but it's also like realize getting a bit of recognition for what you're doing or a bit of feedback even can really like help you in the process of building, right? So just wanted to highlight some of these projects here. So we got like 130 makers. They're all know me, just registered, doing some stuff regarding ordinals, community of ordinals and NFT folks, bridging Nostr and Bitcoin in this kind of way. Super interesting. But anyway, yeah, so this is our list here. You go to projects, we see 39. Yeah, if there's one that stands out to you, I think you were mentioning about ShopNet, right?
Yeah, I've taken a look at that. Yeah, they kind of want to. I think they kind of want to speak to Lightning nodes through Nostr, which I think is a very interesting idea. And we at GetAlby were also spending some thoughts about that in terms of how we can even make it easier for Nostr developers to integrate Lightning payments into their apps. So yeah, super interesting to see that.
Yeah, and that's a little hint towards some WebLM stuff, I guess. We got one of your fellow Legends of Lightning teams also on here, Radoy and team from Agreement. They're now here with Grower Microfinance Protocol, and what are they doing? I haven't been able to check this one out fully. Fair and sustainable microfinance protocol built on top of Bitcoin. It'll be interesting to see how they integrate Nostr in this one. But yeah, keep building, guys. We got like long form blog stuff here. Oh, Geyser. We know Geyser for sure. Nostros. Yeah, this one's really cool. It's an Android and I believe also web client as well. For Nostr. Super cool. They're pretty active in the Nostr design community as well. So shout out to them. Designing out in the open and getting feedback from there. So yeah, big shout out to that team. We got Zapster there. Okay, this is interesting. What's this one? Oh, this is Carnage. Carnage is working on Zapster. Carnage is like a powerhouse for design in the Nostr design community. But super secret project. So yeah, we'll see what that one is. Have you guys seen anything about the Get Nostr stuff?
No, not yet. I just saw the idea, but yeah, never looked into it so far.
The idea is a pretty big bounty on it, man.
Yeah, there is.
I mean, maybe BOLT.FUN, get inside the BOLT.FUN. I mean, maybe we've actually spoken about that for like a while now, which I was trying to avoid doing since like last year, but I don't know. Maybe people build up the components because it makes sense, right? If you're like building in public and stuff like that, then we can also offer repositories as well. Teams form, see the repositories. It kind of makes sense. Anyway, there's a lot of cool projects there. Oh, check this one out. It's the NDK. Do you know this one?
No.
Like Lightning Development Kit. There's the Nostr Development Kit as well.
Nice.
Yeah, Pablo.
Cool.
Yeah. It's a Rust. It's a Rust project also. Yeah, I can't click off it, but it's a Rust project, so it's super cool. Anyway, we got some really cool projects here, guys. Universal namespace. That's going to be super interesting. Also, I'm not sure exactly what it is. It says to be defined, but It seems very interesting with like some DNS-ish stuff. Yeah, NIP 9000 AI assistant for Nostr. Oh, all right. Well, without further ado, let us begin the presentation. How about that? Yeah. I'm going to hop off to the back and I'm going to give everything to Roland here. Yeah. So good luck, guys.
Thanks.
Oh.
Let's go.
Cool. Okay. So yeah, welcome to our talk, Nostr and Lightning. So I'm Roland. I've been working at Alby for a couple of months now, and I also work with Rene on Lightsets, which we're still working on. We just released some cool new features. So this project, you can send tips to people who don't know anything about Lightning, and we'll guide them through the whole process of setting up a wallet and then allowing them to withdraw their sats. And if they don't, then you get your sats automatically returned to you through your Lightning address.
Hey guys, I'm Rene. I also work on Alby on Lightsets, and I've also, maybe you know me from some super cool vending machine payment terminal that I recently developed for a company. You can find me at nip05 Rene Aaron at GetAlby.com.
Cool. So with this talk, there's, I guess you guys already know quite a lot about Nostr, but we think the individual parts are pretty important when combining Nostr and Lightning. So we'll give a quick overview of the different technologies and specs that are important here. So Nostr notes and other things transmitted by relays. It's a decentralized social network with a chance of actually working. I think I use Nostr more than Twitter now, and I think some people have completely migrated over, right? Which is great. There's three main parts: clients, relays, and nodes. And everything is open source, powered by these things called NIPs, which are Nostr implementation possibilities. And unlike Twitter, you can use whatever client you want because it's an open source spec, which is really cool. And it's not just about social media. There's a whole bunch of things that can be powered by Nostr, from games to marketplaces of content without having to have a web server, creating bots, even CoinJoin on Nostr and other decentralized apps. So here's some of the important NIPs just to get you started. The first one covers how events are created, how they're sent to relays, and the structure of simple text notes and profile metadata. NIP 07, which we'll talk about later, it's a specification for allowing you to have access to useful Nostr functions right in the browser for web applications. And NIP 57, of course, Lightning zaps, being able to publicly zap someone or one of their events and being able to see how many people have zapped it. You can look at all the NIPs at the link here. So the difference between Nostr and Twitter, right? Twitter, there's one relay, and if you post something they don't like, then you might get censored. In this case, there's a lot of redundancy. You post the same content to multiple relays. If one of those relays goes down, it doesn't matter because your content is still available in others. Same if you get blocked from one relay. And everything's sent through WebSocket connections, which is great for performance. There's no polling and you have live connections. So there's no need to close and create a new connection when you want to post something. So here's an example of a simple text note. You can think of it like a tweet. Everything in Nostr is a note, and each note has a public key, which is the public key of the person who created the note, the time it was created, the kind of note. So here 1 is a simple text note, the content, what message you're passing here, some tags, we can talk about that later. And then the next two are quite interesting. So the ID is actually the SHA-256 hash of the event, because unlike Twitter or some centralized service where if you created a tweet, then the backend would generate an ID for you, because you're posting to all these relays, the ID is actually generated from the event itself. And the signature here is the Schnorr signature, which is the ID combined with your private key. The next one is, so you create some notes, but you also want to update your profile so people know who you are. And you can set your name, you can set an avatar, but one of the really powerful things here is LUD16, which we'll talk about later. But basically it links your Lightning address to your Nostr profile. And that's how we link Lightning payments to Nostr and money to information. So if you want to do a simple query to retrieve information from all the relays you're connected to, you can do a request. So everything in Nostr is a WebSocket request. The first argument is the type, which you can either request data or you can post a new event. The second one is the subscription ID, and this will be used to link your request with any response data that comes back. And the third is a list of filters. So here I'm querying metadata, which is kind 0, only for the specific author's public key. That means I won't get metadata for anyone I don't want. I only want metadata for this specific person. And then the relays will send a response back with the requested information. Here's an example of posting an event. Is pretty much the same, except you see there's only 2 parameters, which is the type of request you're doing, posting an event, and the body of the event. So we'll step back a bit, and Rene actually already gave a good example of what GetAlby is. I think just one important additional thing is that GetAlby is really the bridge between a web application and a Lightning node. GetAlby builds on open tools and specifications to simplify the interaction between users and websites, and really makes development of Lightning-enabled websites a lot easier, and is really pushing the adoption of Lightning globally. So just here you can see the GetAlby extension. When you install it, if you go to a YouTube video and the person has their Lightning address on there, you can actually send someone Satoshis to support them. And this is a really cool thing, which is changing the monetization model. Like John said before, right now it's kind of broken with a lot of advertising and a lot of spam. Whereas here, we're really living the value for value model, where if you enjoy someone's content, then you're willing to pay and support them. So one of the specs in Nostr is called NIP07, which allows you to, if you have an extension or connected to a website that supports it, allows you to request certain information from the extension. For example, you can get a user's public key without having to know their private key. And we don't want to give away the private key to all these different websites when we just want to use the functionality. So instead, a website can call these window.nostr functions. And if you as the user accept the request, then you can give away your information, or you can accept to sign an event in order to publish it. There's quite a few different functions in the NIP07 spec, so definitely have a look. Here's a simple example. We have a website where we want to post an event. Firstly, you would check if the user has an extension that it supports window.nostr. If they don't, then we don't actually want to allow them to, we don't want to accept your private key. So I think the best example here is actually don't let them use the site. That's a bit debatable, but just for the example, we'll ask them to install an extension, set up their private key there, and in our website, we don't touch the private key. So then we request the public key from the extension. We can then create the event passing the user's public key as one of the properties, and then we can generate the ID for the event. The next thing is we can again use NIP07 to request that extension to sign the event, and that will generate a signature where we're able to finally post the event. So this is a really simple example where you'd connect just to one relay. Make sure you connect successfully, and then publish the event to that relay. Wait for a successful response. So now we go to Lightning. And as you all know, on-chain Bitcoin is a bit slow for everyday transactions. But Lightning is low cost, scalable, decentralized. And there's a few public specs regarding Lightning payments, which make it easier and more standardized to use. So the first one is LNURL, which is an open source specification. Normally, when you want to pay someone, you have to request an invoice, which you can only use once. With LNURL, it exposes HTTP endpoints to coordinate payments along with other things. So simple payments, the ability for a user to actually withdraw money from a server, so the opposite of paying. And there's some really cool possibilities there, and also gamification for your applications. There's LNURL auth, so you can use your Lightning wallet or the Alby extension to log into a service without revealing your email address or anything you wouldn't want to reveal to that service. And it also is a spec for Lightning addresses, where just by giving someone your Lightning address, people can pay to you, and they can pay as many times as they want. It's not like a normal invoice where you can only use it once. So we have another spec called WebLN, which enables secure communication between a web app and a Lightning node through a bridge or client or provider. And in this example, we have Alby, which is that bridge. So Alby exposes window.webln, and there's some other extensions that do the same. And through this, you can, the web application can easily create invoices, send payments, send keysend, which is another format of payment which doesn't require an invoice, pay or execute an LNURL function, or do a direct request on your node. And the cool thing here is that you can connect directly to your node without any third-party access. and execute functions directly on your browser. So if you're interested in this spec, you can visit the below link webln.guide. So here's a really simple example of fetching a 1,000 Satoshi invoice and then just paying the invoice using WebLN. We also have a wallet API, which is really great for mobile apps to send and receive payments. It means you can use your own wallet in any application without having to set up a new one there. And you can look at this guide for more information. There's another really cool thing that we're just currently working on, which Rene mentioned briefly, which is the Alby wallet API directly over Nostr rather than using HTTP requests. So now I'll hand it over to Rene to continue the talk.
Thanks, Roland. Thanks very much. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Okay. So yeah, now the question is, how do Nostr and Lightning really go together, right? So we now have a bidirectional communication channels between two users, and they can send encrypted DMs, let's say. But how would that now work for Lightning payments? What Roland just said before is that everything on Nostr is based on events. So as you set up your Nostr profile, you would first add a name and a picture maybe and some cover image. But you would also add information about where users can pay you. This is now exactly where LN URL and Nostr come together, because now by knowing someone else's public key, I not only can send messages, but I also can send payments, because the LN URL spec allows me to fetch this payment information from this other user's Lightning address and then send a payment to him or her directly. Yeah. And the thing with Nostr now is, so we now have those two connections, and it's happening. But the cool thing would really be if clients would also be able to know that this payment happened. So what SAPs, and I'll speak about that briefly later, do is they not only facilitate the payment between the two users, but they would also publish a note to those relays saying that this payment happened. And this opens up quite some cool things, I think, because now clients can also know which nodes or which profiles have been zapped a lot. And we have decentralized applications now. So money flows as easily as information with those zaps. And content creators now have like a direct link to their audience, and there is no middleman involved, like on YouTube or somewhere, charging you a big chunk of your payments, really. So NIP 57 allows you to link payments to certain contents. That could be your profile, but that could also be like any note, any post you do. and you publish those payments on Nostr. And this now is like a very powerful signal, maybe, to see the most interesting nodes. There have been some experiments on seplife.lol. If you've never been there, I encourage you to do so. And you will see like the most sapped people on there. You will see the most sapped nodes, and it's super interesting to see these payments as kind of a signal. So how do SAPs work? Big shout out to Jeff from Nostr.how. He put together this really nice graphic, and I don't think we need to go through it. But there are quite some things involved in here, as you can see. There's a total of like 7 steps, and you have to make, as a developer, if you want to integrate SAPs into your application, you will have to take care of all the LN URL flows there are. So you first have to request an invoice, and you have to pay it. You would also, as a SAP or as a Lightning address provider, you need to support this stuff. And it's not that easy to integrate it into your application, although I think it's already pretty awesome to see how many SAPs are being sent. So right now we're at like 250,000 SAPs that happened. And yeah, this is like really a nice showcase, I think, of what Lightning can really allow us to build, because like a few years ago, there has been no like native payment method to the internet, like John said. And it was just not possible to send a few cents or even like micro payments across the web instantly and directly between the two users without like some payment providers in between. So I think that's super interesting to follow. And why I'm particularly bullish on Nostr is that now that you can post everything to relays, you can publish content, but you don't anymore need a website. We've seen that with some long form content recently from Harbler News, I think, and some other clients that are being built, which try to provide like medium.com style experiences. And that allows users to actually write blogs and engage with their audience without hosting a blog for themselves. But that could also be like a decentralized marketplace, kind of, where you just publish some offers on a relay, and clients would fetch all of those offers and like provide a nice UI or UX for that. But you don't anymore need to host a shop yourselves. And what this like openness means really, I think, is there are no lock-ins for users really, because if I don't like what one certain client is doing, I have always like the option to go somewhere else and see the same data. I think this experience of writing DMs on different clients is just super cool, because no matter if it's your Android phone or your computer or wherever else you might use it, all the clients have access to the same data, and so it's super interoperable. And I think the best clients will win for that reason. And it leads, I think, to a lot of room for specialization. So for you as an app, I think you can concentrate on one particular use case that could be like a Twitter style experience, but maybe also like a marketplace or an e-commerce store, whatever. you could, like Christoph presented this morning, just focus on really the onboarding part of getting a key and publishing your proof file, or having like a link tree kind of experience. So you can focus on one particular thing, but do that very, do it right. And also, one particular aspect that is super interesting, Roland also talked about this before for a brief second, is that with Nostr, we might have the chance now to establish kind of a spec or a protocol of how to speak to Lightning nodes over Nostr. And that would possibly also solve quite some connectivity issues. So if you run your own node and you want to use your account someone else, yeah, you always have the problem of networking currently, because you would need like a Tor browser, or at least some Tor connection to get to your node, or you would need to use like a VPN, and that stuff is quite complicated, I think, for more like beginner users. And I think that could also be a super interesting topic to explore. I've also seen some other projects like Connect, I think, and Shock Wallet, like tackling this, and super excited to see where this goes. Yeah. All right. So I think Nostr and Lightning don't necessarily need to be used together, but I believe Nostr and Lightning are a very natural fit, kind of, and complement each other very well. And this might allow you to think also how you monetize your app. So the most common thing, or the most easy thing you might want to integrate, are just one-time purchases. So offering like certain pro features, or selling usernames as kind of a one-time thing is super easy. And now that you already have like this payment information in your application, those features could always be just one click away, right? So you could prompt your user like, yeah, okay, sell image uploads, or whatever comes to your mind, and it's not a lot of work for a user, but they can just click confirm and pay for the services they are really using. Another option might be to take a cut as a client. So if payments happen in your client already, so let's say you provide a Twitter-like experience, and you've built tipping into this Twitter client, you could ask your users to send a split of this of the SAPs they do really to the client really, and maybe the hardest option, at least for now, would be to think about subscriptions. But yeah, there are still some, I think, unsolved problems in there that might make it a bit harder, especially since you're in a hackathon. Might be easier to just go with like one-time purchases. Yeah, then I want to also point you to some very useful tools we have also been using or developing on. So first of all, Nostr Tools allows you to create relay pools, subscribing to events, and creating and publishing events. Has a lot of like helper methods in there, which makes it easy to start with, I think. Then we have Alby Tools, which is currently in the making. I'll speak about that in a second. And then there is also HTTP Nostr Publisher, which allows you to publish events to certain relays via HTTP APIs. So if you don't have the option or don't want to fiddle around with what WebSocket connections in some of your stacks, that might also be an option to integrate that as well. IB tools, just a few words about that. You need to be a bit reckless right now in order to use it. It's still being actively developed. But the goal of this NPM package is really to provide some high-level APIs for you and to make it easy to integrate Lightning payments into your apps. You have several like helpers in there that allow you to interact with Lightning addresses. You will be able to send boostograms or also key send payments. And there is also a new function in there which could be particularly interesting for Nostr devs in this hackathon, which is like the set function. So you would install this package, just a few examples, and how you would fetch an invoice is like you just create this Lightning address class, you fetch the information from there, and then you just request this invoice. And everything, like the whole protocol thing, the flow that happens happens in the background, and you don't need to implement it yourself. And the same goes for zapping. If you remember this whole flow with the 7 steps involved there, is all broken down for you really. So you would get the Lightning address from this Nostr profile, and then you would create the zap args, which basically puts together the information, who is sending this, who is receiving it. And you can also attach a comment in there, and then you just call ln.zap and wait for the invoice to be paid in order to display some animation or some feedback that this zap was really sent. What's next? I encourage you to read and contribute to the specs. There are so many things going on. It's hard to follow even along of all the interesting things that are being built right now. Use and contribute those packages. We're actively looking for feedback. So if you use it and you stumble into problems or have suggestions, please let us know. There are very helpful Nostr groups, Nostr Design Telegram group, LNURL Mafia Telegram groups that will help you for different questions. And also take a look at the bounties. There are quite some of them available on Bouncer. And also we at Alby have some bounties up there. So feel free to check that out. If you have any questions or want to discuss an idea or something, please say hi. You can find us with the nips you can see on the screen, and we'll also be participating in one or the other like check-in session. So feel free to reach out to us anytime. We're happy to help. I think that's about it.
Hey guys, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's see if we have any questions. But in the meantime, that was a great overview of definitely on a high level that will allow people to, like, even the designers, because we have a design track, to figure out how to start thinking about Bitcoin and Lightning and how they go together. And great example of tools there. I'm super excited for Alby tools. When Alby tools,
I mean, if you're reckless enough, you can use it today, but there might be some changes still. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it would be
let some
great.
people know.
It's a great place for people to start using these things, right? Hackathons, right? Everyone's in reckless mode at these times.
Exactly.
Are any of you guys going to Nostrica, by the way? That's this weekend.
Unfortunately not, no. Roland is also in Thailand, in Vietnam, I think. Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's another conference going on there as well. It just seems like Bitcoin things and hubs and all that is just popping up all over the world now, right? It's kind of cool. It's kind of cool.
Tough to choose,
Yeah.
Super cool.
Well, I don't see any questions coming in there, but this was super informative, and I really want to thank you guys for giving this presentation. We have some people who are waking up now, so I'm going to send it off to them because there's been some questions around, what the Bitcoin part of the hackathon is and stuff. So I think this will clarify what that could be. But yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Sounds good. Yeah,
all right.
Thanks a lot.
Take care.
Thanks, John.
Bye-bye.
Nice. All right, guys. Well, we have a few other things. This was Rene and Roland from the Alby team showing you how to do, how to combine these two protocols, information and value. And I'm super excited. Think about your business models. Think about your flows and payments and stuff like that. And definitely check out the tools and share it with your friends, right? If people have questions about like your developer friends or whatever, if they have questions about what's the importance of like these two things, like what's the whole deal, I think we Rene and Roland covered quite a bit of it. All right, I want to talk about some of our community partners as well. Nostr Design Community, big shout out to them. Eric from the Nostr Design Community has put in a tremendous amount of work organizing this event. Nostrica, the conference, which is this weekend in Costa Rica. I think all the tickets are sold out, but you are able to view it online. We will be streaming on this channel or directing you to the stream. Sorry, Connect the World, our friends over there. Really big shout out to them. Another hackathon happening this weekend as well. It's the SatsX hackathon. So check it out. That's being put on by PlebLab. I think actually it might be tomorrow. So yeah. And Totogo's Dev, Totogo's.dev, check them out because they are a really cool dev school, kind of like following the chain code model, similar to Kala. And they are a dev school in El Salvador, a Bitcoin country. What else we got? Yeah, that's the Nostrica. It is 19th and 21st. Perfect. And registrations are still open. So if you want to take part in the hackathon, it is 0.24 Bitcoin in prizes total for a track for builders and a track for designers. The builder one, obviously, is functional applications that functional, clients or whatever it is that you want to build, developer tools and whatnot. And the track for designers are just design explorations. Think as wild as you want. You can do user research. It can be all those like non-functioning things, right? No, not implemented things. Yeah, Nostr Hack. We're still going on. We're still going strong. Tonight we're going to have check-ins. Check out the schedule on the website. You scan the QR code or go to that link. And yeah, looking forward to see what all you makers are up to. Anyway, that's it for me. Ciao, ciao.